Hi, this is Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Question: what is your mission? In today's episode, what I want to talk to you guys about is what is your mission in life? What is your mission as an advisor? How do you determine those things and why they're important? So let's jump right into it. In my 26 years of working with financial advisors exclusively, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of reasons why a human being is attracted into our industry, right, into our profession, right. Some people are attracted because they love the stock market, right? They love investing. I hear from clients and members of Magellan Network that their first memory is like sitting, with their dad or their mom and getting it like the paper out, and this is when the stock tables were in the back and looking up, and many of you probably had a similar experience to that, right? So it's always kind of about the market, and there's nothing. By the way, there's no right or wrong here. Just let me kind of play this all out for everyone. So sometimes a person is attracted to this industry because of the markets, right, and kind of the action, if you will, the science of investing. Other people get attracted into this industry for planning, right? So I like helping people. I like doing portfolio construction. I like doing financial plans. I like solving people's problems. Planning is sort of like puzzles. It's sort of like art and science put together, and I'm really good at that, and that's great, right? And I think the third person comes in, and they're here to help other people, and their driver is, I want to be of service, I want to help, I want to add value. And obviously all of us are spectrum, right? We all have elements. So you don't have zero of this and 100% of that. It's sort of a recipe, right? But there's always going to be a dominant piece, like a dominant gene in a human being, right? There's going to be dominance here. And I just need you to just recognize that and be truthful for yourself. See, I think a lot of people try to, I don't say appease, but I think they're not authentic. And I think and when you're not authentic, you cannot influence, you cannot do. And so, when you think about it, you got to ask yourself the question, why am I in this business? Why am I here? And it's a question I have, by the way, it's a question I ask all my clients, all my participants in my planning sessions when we either do it virtual or live. They say, why'd you get in this business? Why'd you get in? What keeps you in, right? Well, what drives you every morning? And that's an important thing. If you're getting up in the morning and your thought is, I got to go to work today, right? Or even worse, I got to go to my job today. God help that three-letter word, right? Then you got to really take a look and ask yourself these questions. Because you've got to find a mission inside of this game we call business. Because if you cannot find a mission, you'll make some money. I'm not saying you won't be successful, but you won't be fulfilled. And being economically successful without being fulfilled is an empty and hollow victory. And our industry is littered with empty and hollow victories. I don't care if your top line's $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, $5 million. I work with every one of that type of person in this game, and I'm telling you, there are more people that are economically abundant and emotionally unfulfilled than you would imagine. So you've got to ask yourself, how does that happen, right? And what I believe in my experiences of 26 years, the reason why it happens is that advisors focus too much on the numbers, thinking that the number, i.e. the money, right, let's code it for that, solves problems. And what money is, at least to my viewpoint, it's a resource, right? It's a resource to deploy, whether you deploy it as investing for yourself and your future, you deploy it in people, right, in your team, you deploy it in marketing, branding, business development, right, the technology, personal development, right, all those things. But at the end, money is just a resource, my belief, right? And it'll be like a little share here today. I used to think I was very money motivated. I used to, I guess when you grow up with none, right, it kind of becomes important. At least that was my, it's funny, it was my driver very early on. And it wasn't until I got to like a little bit more economic certainty, abundance, I started really looking, because like when you enter your business, like the same way I entered mine, right, we kind of start off with like, it's scarcity, man. It's scarcity and survival, right? You're just, can I do this? Can I stay in this thing long enough to figure it out, right? And I would say for the first maybe 5 or even 10 years of my career is kind of, a little bit of that, mastering my craft, right, if you will. And then you get to the place where you get what we call, now you have abundance, you have certainty, right? From that regard. So you know you've made it. Now the question is, what do you want to do, right? That's a different part of our world. And then you get into, abundance, comfort, right? And then everything's good. You kind of put money away. Your game's good. You live in a nice house, drive nice cars. You don't really worry about money, right? In that monthly kind of concept, if you will. You have other worries like taxes and other things, but you don't worry about kind of the budget, right? And what happens is that if you don't have a mission, you kind of get in this place here. If you don't have a mission that's bigger than you can end up playing in here and never elevate out, because it's not just like, for me, and I'll, like I said, I'll kind of share some stuff here in this episode. There was a time in my career where I wanted to be the biggest coaching company out there, and I went for it twice. Once with a partner, which I'll remain nameless, and that was really pretty successful. We were getting, they were doing the marketing. I was in charge. I think we had 12 or 13 coaches. We were rock starring it out. But it took me from my mission. What was happening was I was managing coaches and not coaching advisors. And what I realized my passion was coaching advisors. I really, really like that. I'm passionate about that. It's kind of my call. Everybody has a calling, by the way, I believe. It may not be what you do for a living, right? Economically, it may be something that you would do. Here's the question you ask. If money weren't an issue and I hit the lottery or was independent, wealthy, whatever, what would I do with my time? And if you could say I'd be doing what I do, maybe a little bit differently, maybe not as much, right? Then I think you're great. But if you're like, I would want to go ahead and help handicapped kids, or I'd want to start a paddleboard company, right? Or whatever it happens to be, then you better have a meeting with yourself and reconcile this. And some of you are saying, well, how do you do that? And I've got clients, by the way, who've told me, very successful people in this industry, it's okay what I do. It's not my passion. I said, well, what is? And they go, a lot of times it's philanthropic, which is great, right? So the way we frame their game, and it's a little strategy here for everyone, is we say, look, then let's build a rock star business. And let's build it in a way that you can step away, maybe not in its entirety, but you can kind of step away enough. And let's use this as the economic engine to fund this, right? And when I frame it that way to my clients, several have gone on to start foundations with 6 and 7 figure funding every year, really impacting the lives of hundreds, if not thousands of people around the world. And I think as a coach, that's one of my proudest things I've done. If I look back at my career when I do, I'm going to look back and say, it was fundamentally one of the best things I've ever found a way to help people do, is to stay relevant here, but go on and do greater things, right? And I believe that. So find a way to reconcile your game, right? So getting back to my story. So one morning I woke up, and this was probably like 2004, 2005. And I just like this, I don't like this. The money's great. No, not quite that, but I got a partner. He and I don't get along all the time. He's a little bit of an ass. Again, we're not going to name names. And I just said, this is not sustainable for me. I'm doing less coaching. I'm doing more fixing what the coaches were doing, because what I realized is what I do is not really easily transferable. See, there are a lot of coaches in this game, and again, I'm not saying anybody's good or bad. I think most are really, they care and they do a good job, but they tend to coach around a process or a system. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's indeed what's necessary. Unfortunately, I find in my work that you can coach around a process or a system, but if the advisor's vision is not there, their mindset's not there, they're not aligned to what's important to them, they will not consistently execute that process. Hence, failure, right? And then the other thing, and I'm not going to get on my soapbox here, but I truly believe that advisor coach has to be a fit from a belief set, psychology, communication. And if you've got firms that are plug and playing people, right? Oh, just come on in and we'll plug in and that's it, and they got to sell you on it. Early in my career in care, I competed against them. Now I just think it's flat out wrong. Just doesn't serve. And the reason why I say that is that I look at the last couple of personal clients I've taken on. Again, we're not going to get into names. who left prominent coaching companies, prominent firms, with a bad experience after paying $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. Like, it was okay for like 3 months, and then, that was about it. I got what I needed, and I had 8 months left of my contract. I don't know how that works. I couldn't do that. So for me, it's about mission. What I realized was my mission, what I get the most joy of in life, what I would do even if I hit the lottery and I didn't have to do this at all, would be I do what I do. This is what I'm going to do to the day I die. Right? So I unwound that business because it took me off mission. And then, kind of do my thing, right? Just a little, okay, what do I do? So I go back to my roots, which is what I love, right? I'm like a chef who loves to be in the kitchen. I'll equate this to cooking, okay? I would never be the chef that has 47 restaurants scattered around the world and I'm not in the kitchen. I'm just kind of being the figurehead, right? I'm the guy who's going to be in the kitchen, and I'm going to have the most exclusive restaurant, 3 Michelin stars, top 10 in the entire world, but I'm going to have one kitchen and I'm going to dominate that kitchen. That's how I operate, right? So, make a long story short, 2007, 8 come around, I get this idea. I say, well, maybe the partner was the issue, right? So let me go do again, I'm an entrepreneur, right? I like growth, right? And I'm sitting there going, so let me go at this again. So I hired a smaller group of coaches, so not as many. It was like way too big, and but then I do all the marketing myself. So guess what that did? It took me away from what I loved. Because now I'm out there doing webinars and going out there and partnering with wholesalers and going to branches and speaking and coddling people, advisors come in on trials and talk to my people. And it took me away from the kitchen, to put it in my terms. And I didn't like it. So I did that for 2 more years. And I said, that's it. And I vowed never to do that again. And so, I've come to the conclusion that for me, for the rest of my career, like 26 years, I vowed to my clients, I made them a promise that I will be their coach for 50 years. I did that last August in Chicago. And I'm 100% committed to keeping that promise. So what does that mean for me? What does that mean in terms of mission? It's really being truthful for yourself. Like, it's okay not to, you don't need to be the biggest advisor. You don't need to be top producer. What you need to be is fulfilled, right? Because what I learned in my 2 experiments was, while it was economically rewarding, it was very unfulfilling. And if you're waking up in the morning and your economics are good, but man, you got no juice, like you're grinding, it's time to do a reset. Sit down, blank sheet of paper. Look, I do this, whenever I'm not feeling good about something. And I don't sit there and say, well, every 2 years we're going to do a strategic review, or every year we're going to do this. It's like, when I feel it, I will literally take a couple days. And what you guys don't see if you're watching the video is I've got these beautiful glass whiteboards surrounding on 3 walls over here. Big, like 4x8s. They're like plywood, basically. And I'll start blank, wipe it all down. What do I want to do? Why do I do it? How do I want to do it? How do I want to charge for it? What's the method? What's the modality that I want to use? And I find that, when you kind of tear something apart and rebuild it, it's always going to be different. You're always going to find a nuance, sometimes large, sometimes little, but there'll be change, there'll be differentials, and that's important. And so, when you think about being an advisor, why are you here? What's your mission? Why do you get up in the morning and do what you do? And look, if it's because I want to make a lot of money, then own that. Nothing. Look, I'm not going to crucify you for that. But then be honest. Hey, I'm in this. I want to help people, but what I really care about is making a lot of money for me and my family. Then own that. But then don't go around. I'm not saying go put that on a website, but don't lie to yourself, right? If you're here to help other people, and what's most important is you help other people, right? And so here's how this works, okay? So the advisor that wants to help other people tend to almost run nonprofits. You'll have a lot of little clients. And it's okay. Look, and let me say this, and I want to make this message very clear. Being an advisor is like practicing medicine. You could be the Beverly Hills plastic surgeon who works on movie stars and other assorted people and charge X amount of dollars and have your own TV show, right? And make millions and millions and millions of dollars. Are you a doctor? Yes. You also, a doctor could also work in a clinic, make $50,000 to $75,000 a year if they're lucky, right? Hopefully they pay off their student loans. And they help thousands of people every year because they see like 50 of them every day, right? They both practice medicine. Who's right? Who's right? Same thing in our space. Who's right? The advisor that has $5 million minimums and deals with CEOs and celebrities and sports figures and they limit themselves to 50 clients and that's what they do, and they have that kind of rock star thing, or an advisor out there in middle America with a storefront who has like 300-400 households. Average account size is $150,000 to $250,000, and they serve their community and they love every moment because they add value. Who's right? See, they both are. The point is, know who you are, and then build your business in the image of that, so that not only are you economically satisfied, but you're also emotionally fulfilled, that you're on mission, that you're doing what you need to do. That to me is the most important thing. Because absence of that, you're going to look back at your career and say, I made some good money. Yeah, it was okay. But you're not going to feel like, man, I touched all the lives of these people and everything like that. You're not going to have that sense. It's going to be the hollowest victory a human being can ever experience. And the worst part of that is, you can't go back in time and fix it. It's done. So I'm really asking each and every one of you who listen and watch me to think about that. Make sure that you're being fulfilled in doing what you do. It's so critical that we execute that. All right? And last thing, and then we can check. I like to keep these episodes about 20 minutes. Fast forward to today. I started Magellan Network 2 years ago. Part of the reason why I started it, quite frankly, is I like doing new things. But I also wanted to expand my reach. I couldn't work with hundreds of advisors as individually, and I will not hire another coach. Been there, done that, right? I'm not going down that road again. But even with that, my mission is not to be the biggest. It's to be the best. To know every one of my clients. And that's why even in network, which is a totally scalable game, I'm going to limit it to 300 advisors at any one time. Period. Not 500, not 1,000, not this, not that. Charge a fair fee. Great value prop. Advisors don't leave. That's the funny part. The exciting part, I guess. And not because, by the way, not because they're contractually obligated to stay. Everything I do is everything. Even my personal work is month to month these days. I don't want anybody around me who doesn't want to be around me. And I think it keeps me on my game. Because like you, think about this. Wouldn't you rather work with a coach who has to operate on the same business parameters you do? What guarantees do you have with your clients? What one-year contracts do you have to be their advisor, to run their money, to be their planner, right? Shouldn't your coach operate the same way you do? Shouldn't that be one of the core alignments that we have? That's what I think. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show. And oh, by the way, you want to find out more? MagellanNetwork.net. Come inside my world for 14 days. Let me show you what it's really like. Thanks. So there you have it. If you really enjoyed watching this episode, go ahead and subscribe to the Magellan Network Show with Coach Joe here on YouTube. And remember, I'm always here to help you become a better entrepreneur, business owner, and financial advisor. With that, I'll see you next time on the Magellan Network Show with me, Coach Joe. Take care and goodbye.